Greetings, people of the Inwoods. Jake here, and there's a little bit of news that dropped from the comic book movie world. So the Flash movies director Rick Famuyiwa recently dropped out as the director. Now, this is the second director that's dropped out of this movie. The first one being Seth Grahame-Smith, who I believe was also one of the writers, or was supposed to write the script for the movie. Not 100% sure, but that was going to be actually Seth Grahame-Smith's first movie, which is for me, is a little bit weirder, because as a first-time director, I imagine a lot of them went to direct these big, high-profile movies, kind of get their name out there. But both directors left due to creative differences. That's about all we know. We don't know what the differences were, or whether it was creative differences with the studio, maybe with the producers of the movie. Not 100% sure. It's very unclear, very vague. And creative differences could mean a lot of things. It could legitimately mean there are two different visions for the film, like how Tim Miller dropped out of Deadpool 2, because he had one vision for the film and Ryan Reynolds had another vision. So it could be one of those things where maybe Rick Famuyiwa had a direction for the movie and maybe Warner Brothers had a different direction and they just couldn't see eye to eye, and that's why he stepped down. Same with Seth Grahame-Smith. Could also mean a lot of other things. But even though this, this isn't uncommon for directors to drop out of movies, especially, these kind of big blockbuster films, in particular, even these comic book films. Both DC and Marvel have all had directors drop out of movies, and then were replaced with different directors. So this doesn't necessarily mean that the movie's doomed. It's just, I don't know, it's maybe a cause for a little bit of worry, just seeing as how two directors have dropped out due to creative differences, whatever they may be. It's still, it's still a little cause for caution, I should say. Maybe not worrying so much, but just it has a bit of, caution going into this film, because it's slated to come out, I believe, in March of 2018. So that sounds like it's a bit of ways away, but in terms of, filmmaking and all that, that really is not that far at all. Because I imagine they probably have a finished script, but a lot of times, even with a finished script, the studios will usually hire in other writers or one particular writer or something like that to kind of come in, revise it, punch it up a little bit, make sure it's, as good as it can be, before they start principal photography or filming. So, and most of the movies take about 6 to 9 months to film, especially some of these bigger movies. They take several months, so I'd say on average about half a year, a little bit more to film some of these movies. And then, of course, they have time scheduled in for reshoots. It's not a terrible word. Every movie does reshoots, again, in particular these big blockbuster movies. Just, again, kind of revise, touch things up, and make it as good as it can be before, releasing it to theaters. So, the fact that the movie comes out in early 2018, if they can't get a new director in and get them on lockdown, it's starting to seem like this movie might get pushed back. Probably not canceled, because I think Flash is too big of a character, and they already have him casted and stuff like that. And yeah, again, I'm pretty sure they at least have a basic script already done. Because Warner Brothers have already canceled Cyborg, which isn't a huge surprise, just because to me, he doesn't seem like a character who can hold his own movie, yet, anyways. Now, once we see Cyborg in Justice League, and he's supposed to pop up in Flash as well, it's kind of, I think they've described it as almost like a buddy cop movie, with Flash and Cyborg, which could be good if the movie gets made. So I think that, if that works, and Ray Fisher is the actor who's playing Cyborg, if his performance is well received and the character is well received, I think then they'll put the movie back on the table. But as of right now, I think it makes sense that they're canceling it, and probably Shazam 2, because there's been no news from Shazam whatsoever outside of the The Rock playing Black Adam, and that's about it. So it wouldn't surprise me if that get canceled, soon if it hasn't already. And again, I doubt The Flash will get canceled, but I'd say if they don't get a new director and basically have this director on lockdown, I don't know, about probably by the end of the year or maybe like early next year, I'd say they'll probably end up pushing it back. Whether it's a significant amount, like maybe pushing it back another year, or just maybe a few more months, it's hard to say. But either way, it's kind of a shame that they've lost another director, because Warner Brothers really have had a rocky start. Say what you want about the movies and their quality and their financial success, they still had a very rocky start. And even though I really like Man of Steel, didn't care that much for Batman v Superman, did like Suicide Squad, even though it's a very flawed film, it's still hard to overlook the flaws in both Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, and even Man of Steel. Even though I really like that movie, there are some issues with it. So they really need to kind of bring their A game with Wonder Woman, Justice League, and start knocking it out of the park with their movies, and hopefully, bring a better reputation for their movies. That way, not all their movies are a constant, hit or miss track record, whether it be financial or critical success. Because as us comic book fans, we want these movies to succeed. Even if we're not a big fan of Flash, even if we've never read a comic book of Flash, we still want these movies to succeed, because for all these movies, for every time that one of these comic book movies succeeds, that means this whole golden age of comic book movies and TV shows and just pop culture will continue to last. And honestly, again, there shouldn't be this whole competition of Marvel and DC, especially with the movies. Is they both want each other to succeed. Marvel wants DC to succeed, because if DC keeps releasing crappy movies, then people will lose interest in the superhero genre in general, and they'll stop seeing all the superhero movies, whether it be the Fox X-Men movies, or Deadpool, the Marvel movies, or the DC movies. So let's hope that, Wonder Woman is great, which it does look pretty amazing. Justice League, let's hope that's great, and then they'll just continue to push forward, and all their movies will be consistently good and, critically and financially successful. But that pretty much wraps up this video. I just kind of wanted to touch a little bit on the fact that Flash has, again, sadly lost another director. But let me know what you all think in the comment section below on the loss of Rick Famuyiwa, the director for Flash, or who you think would be a good director to fill in the shoes for the Flash movie. But as always, you can find the Pasty Pale Productions Facebook page, where you can get news and updates and stuff like that, and when things are getting uploaded, the next topics for podcasts and videos and all that stuff. You can find us on Twitter at Pasty Pale Pro. Again, kind of the same thing, just news, updates, all that stuff. Or you can follow my own personal Twitter page at IrishmanJake, and just kind of see what I'm up to, and tweet me on your thoughts on just things in general. It'd be comics, the movies, or just whatever floats your boat. But that wraps up this video, and until next time, everyone, cheers.